Hey, this is Eddie with the Voyage Cast, bringing you help beyond the office for the days when you need just a little bit more than a session. The other day, I came across a quote by James Madison. He was the fourth president of the United States, one of the architects of the Constitution, helped with the Federalist Papers, a lot of great stuff. He had a quote, or at least the quote that I found, "If men were angels, no government would be necessary." This really stuck with me, not because I was thinking about the government, but because I was thinking about marriage, as I often do since I'm a marriage therapist. That quote kind of sent me down a rabbit hole, and I started wondering what it would look like if we borrowed the wisdom of these founding fathers and really applied them to relationships. What if, just as they were trying to draft a constitution strong enough to hold 13 fragile colonies together, we tried to draft some kind of constitution strong enough to hold 2 fragile humans together? Because let's be honest, that's really hard to do. Marriage is so hard. Maybe even harder than holding 13 colonies together. And the more I thought about this, the more I thought about Madison's words, the more I realized relationships needed guardrails. I tell clients all the time there really are just things that work and things that don't work. The things that work need to be protected. Why? We're not angels. We wound each other. We get selfish. We forget love needs more than just feelings. It needs principles that hold when our emotions don't work or our emotions get out of line. George Washington would have understood this. He once said that human happiness and moral duty are inseparably connected. In other words, joy isn't the opposition of responsibility, it's born from it. In marriage, that shows up in the ordinary stuff. Picking up the kids, cooking dinners, staying at the table for the hard conversations. Duty sounds boring, and it often kind of is sometimes, but it's actually the soil where joy grows. Couples who thrive don't run from responsibility, they ritualize it. Friday night date, a shared morning walk, those little commitments become the backbone of their relationship. It's something they can rely on and trust and count on. Helps with attachment bonding and all those kinds of things. And then there's John Adams. He called friendship one of the distinguishing glories of man, which is really another way of saying marriages that last aren't built just on passion, they're built on friendship. You need someone who knows your jokes, who celebrates your good news, who genuinely is glad to see you at the end of the day. Modern research even backs this up. It's called active constructive responding. When your partner shares something good, respond with some kind of enthusiasm, at least give it a shot. Try to be excited for your partner. That small practice keeps friendship alive in general. Thomas Jefferson said friendship is precious not only in the shade, but also in the sunshine. That one hits home, doesn't it? Because it's easy for couples to rally during crisis, loss, illness, job stress, and I see that with my couples all the time. They do pretty well actually during those times. But what about when the sunny seasons are about us? What about when things are fine? That's where a lot of marriages kind of quietly drift or coast off. And this drift leads to boredom. It can lead to resentment, bitterness, distance, all that stuff. Jefferson does remind us, though, that we don't just survive the storms. We invest in the calm. Try new things. Keep learning together. Add a little novelty. Love doesn't need shade trees of comfort. It needs sunshine to grow. Benjamin Franklin, who could always be counted on for both wit and wisdom, said, "Keep your eyes wide open before marriage, half shut afterwards." Translation, be discerning before you commit. But once you're in, practice some grace, because not every frustration deserves a full-blown trial. Couples who last aren't the ones who never fight. They're the ones who know how to repair quickly and often. And then there's Hamilton. Leave it to him to crank up the drama a little bit. He warned that a nation which prefers disgrace to danger is prepared for a master. Harsh words, I know, but here's the marriage translation. If you avoid hard conversations, resentment becomes your master. And resentment is a cruel one. Couples who thrive choose courage over comfort, carving out time every week to sit down, check in, and say the things that need to be said. Not with blame, but with honesty. I feel this way about that thing, and here's what I need. We put it out there to be discussed. Madison comes back in with one more gem. Ambition must be made to counteract ambition. He meant political power, but it applies to home too. Because in marriage, both of you have dreams and drives. If you don't talk about them, they'll clash. But if you name them, they can align. One of the most powerful practices I've seen for couples to ask, every so often, what is your personal goal right now? What's our shared goal? And then commit to helping each other chase both. Ambition doesn't have to be a competition. It can be a collaboration. Besides, competition in a marriage is a recipe for destruction. And finding out what your shared goals are means you're talking about things, means you're engaged in what's next and planning for a future together. That's super powerful. Now, the founders gave us this philosophy, but modern research gives us the practical tools. Things like a nightly 6-second gratitude exchange, or making the invisible labor visible, mapping household tasks and emotional work, and then redistributing it fairly. Protecting sleep, setting aside phone-free zones, and refusing to fight after 10 p.m., which is a really good rule. Having monthly money dates so finances don't become a Cold War or a major area of discontent and contention, like that's a big common problem. Even something as simple as holding hands at the start of a hard conversation, well, it can calm your nervous system. It instigates the oxytocin development, the cuddle hormone. And maybe most importantly, seeking help before it feels like everything is burning down. Don't wait until contempt has calcified. Call when you first smell the smoke. Here's where this all lands for me. The founders weren't perfect men. They were cheaters, full of contradictions, irritable, stubborn, all kinds of things. Their genius wasn't perfection. It was in drafting principles strong enough to guide imperfect people because they understood a basic truth, that we are imperfect. And that's exactly what marriage is. Not two angels floating through life together, but two humans, two idiot people with no idea what they're doing, drafting their own constitution, a set of commitments that say, we will respect even when we disagree. We will balance independence and intimacy. We will repair before resentment takes root. We will face hard conversations with courage. In other words, we're willing to go into the conflict and into the fray and respect each other doing it. Nations rise on principles, not personalities, and so do marriages. All right, well, this is Ed, the host of the Voyage Cast, bringing you another episode and help beyond the office for the days when you just need a little bit more. If you like this episode and you resonated with something in it, share it with a friend. Share it with a family member. Share it with somebody you hate. Share it with somebody you disagree with. Maybe this can help bridge the gap and create a better conversation. Also, don't forget to give us 5 stars and subscribe and like and all those things that you can do. It helps the algorithm overlords know that this content is meaningful and that other people might benefit from it. All right, thanks so much. We'll see you soon.